Good morning. Today is Friday, January the 12th. It is 9 a.m. We're in the Public Works Building for a Charter Review Committee meeting. Tammy, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Ward?
Here.
Ms. Jenkins? Here. Mr. Schmegelsky?
Here.
Mr. Elzey?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Ms. Logan?
Here.
We have the minutes from the November 16th and December 7th meeting that were sent to us via email. Did everybody have a chance to read through them?
Yes.
Do we have any changes, additions? Everybody okay with approving them? Yes.
Yes.
Awesome, approved. All right, let me make sure I have mine turned off, because that's not mine, I don't think. All right, let's get right into this. At the city council meeting, there were some things they wanted us to kind of go back over. The first one being the discussion on the height restrictions and kind of narrowing it down. The biggest thing it seemed like it sounded like was the annexation, protecting things, protecting the limits, not just the current city limits. So we'll start with Quinn. You know, any thoughts on this, on how we can do it better?
No.
Suggestions for it?
No, it's a proposal.
Yeah, Stephen?
Well, I think the committee, as we discussed it pretty much in depth, I thought. We discussed, I think we all agreed that trying to forecast future annexation is like a shot in the dark. So how do we simply put a sentence in there to include any future annexed land?
Or I think we worded the proposals, Clint, what, the last sentence I think is what had us, had been questioning, was it not, on that ordinance?
It was basically whether we include annexation, future property. My opinion on this is we either leave it the way it is or we bag it entirely.
My opinion, and I was at the council meeting, is I thought there was also some discussion about should we be specific and instead of referencing our current land development code to physically put the current commercial and residential height restrictions physically in the charter instead of referencing another document.
Yes, that was my next thing to mention as well. So I agree
But
with
as
that.
far as trying to include properties that may or may not be annexed, how do you do that?
We can't. I mean, but I think it should include future annexed. And I don't think it should reference the LDR, my personal opinion, because by doing that, that goes back to the LDR is something that can be changed. And the whole purpose of doing what we're doing is to try to set those limitations.
Well, but you're saying that, well, when you put in the charter, it's everything in the city limits the way that it is to the current LDR, the way they are, what is established the date this is adopted. So you're not changing, it can't be changed.
As of the effective date of this section.
Now they can hurry up and before this goes through and change them, and then that would be a problem. But I don't foresee that happening.
So, you know, we don't, because of that word verbiage, then we don't need to have the height in there for the commercial and spell it out?
It is what the LDRs are right now, is what it would be in this. And that's 32, I think there's only two,
32 and 48.
you know, 48, and there's only two spots that can be. One is commercial, I believe, and the other is tourist. I can't remember exactly which one is the.
Because we don't have any agricultural zoning in the city any longer, because we just rezoned that 80 acres. Right? Am I correct in stating?
When we annexed the 80 acres, we put it in with a particular zoning category, which
Right.
was public institutional.
Right. It was agricultural prior to that.
It was Bay County agriculture.
Correct.
So when you annex a property into the city, you have to give it a specific zoning district.
Within our city, right? Which is why we went that direct. I was on the board. Okay.
Yeah, so that 80 acres is in the city limits now, and it has a zoning category of public institution.
So I guess the question I have is for clarity for the voter who may not know what the LDR says.
Do we need to
Do
spell
we
it
need to
out?
spell it out?
We could, I mean, I'd have to list each individual zoning district and what their height restriction is. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, but it's adding a lot of words.
Adding a lot of words, which actually might take it over the threshold of what I'm able to say.
So that would take us back to the importance of the workshops then. Or if we want to do one, or getting the word out about what these changes are, which, I mean, we can only do so much. There's 5
Well-
plus Lisa makes 6, I mean, but.
Well, and, you know, I'm sure many of you are as disappointed as I was that we devoted a whole lot of time to this.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the committee did a great job, we were thorough, we solicited continually input from the community and got none. But yet, when it comes to the council,
So for one guy.
we have.
I'm going to say limited.
We had
limited
really
feedback.
nothing but complaining, not, I like this, right? It was just, you really ought not do this, and if they thought that, why didn't they show up? Or why didn't they send the committee an email? You know, I mean, just something.
They had time before the first reading to
Exactly.
read this, and if they had questions, they should have put it to us at that point.
I think the 6 of us were extremely thorough, we took it to heart, we put blood, sweat, and tears into it. So,
I'm not gonna
trying to
disagree.
educate the voter is, I don't know that that's our job.
Well,
I
Lee, what
wasn't
do you
here
think?
for any of the height restriction discussions, and so I did not go back and watch the discussions that y'all had on that, so I'm at a loss with some of that. Two comments. One, I agree with Steve that this was presented to the council in November, and the public had, our citizens, residents, anybody from the public had ample knowledge or ample opportunity to see what was being discussed, and to wait 6 weeks or however many weeks later to start that was very, very disappointing. And I've shared that with others as well, how disappointing, and I'm sure y'all have. The second thing, just about the height restriction, again, I wasn't here. I would hope that we don't, whatever this is, doesn't negatively affect our ability to, if we're having to pay, if we're having to provide services to some of these properties, I don't want us to do something that keeps us from getting the,
Being able to annex it.
being
because
able
our
to
charter
annex
says
them and
something.
getting the additional taxes for it.
That's
correct.
the problem with farming.
That is the correct.
If we go ahead and do that, remember there's that one section, if we take it, we're taking it subject to whatever the rules were that they've already established in Bay County. And if that is a higher height restriction than we are putting in this charter, we're gonna put ourselves in a position where we can't annex.
We can annex them, but we're going to be required to provide services to them.
Well, we have a mutual aid agreement where we provide fire and, we're gonna provide fire and police anyway. And, we could not give them water, but then they could go ahead and tap into Bay County on their own.
But it's sewer is the issue, because according to the agreement, we are the service provider for water and sewer in our service area. And the areas that we're talking about is the unincorporated area between us and Tyndall, on both sides of the highway, and then north of us, past the Harmon place, a little bit. We can deny them sewer. We can also deny them water, and if they're not able to tap in on the line, well, actually, according to the conversations I had several years ago with officials in Bay County, we are the service provider. It is up to us whether we provide it or not. Now, if we don't provide it, then they can't build.
Oh, man, I don't know about that.
Well, they can they can build, but where are they gonna get their sewer from? Unless they build their own treatment
That
plant.
could lead to some big problems.
Well,
Litigation?
the issue is, to me, and to me, the tax issue is only a portion of the whole picture. And everybody says, well, we'll miss out on the tax stuff. But to me, that's not everything there is to look at. If we can try to control what's over here between us and Tyndall on this west side, that is the more important section to me than what's behind us. What's behind us, in a bizarre way, we don't have to look at that as much because we're all facing this way, but what comes in at Tyndall is the entrance to our town. And that sets the tone for coming into Mexico Beach. And if we allow them to come in, annex, without adhering to our strict height limits, their commercial can go up, and they will build under Bay County's rules, and then say, we want to be annexed. So you could have, they allow 23 stories. It's 200 plus feet. So, do we want, that's a lot. That's Panama City Beach condo height. That's what we're looking at. Do we want to have that in the city? So the question of annexation to me is not just, are we trying to hold the height down? It's everything that we don't want for the city if we allow it. So are we going to just make no attempt to do that? Or are we going to say future annexation? Or future annexation on the west side? I mean, I don't think that we need to just let it pass without some more hard discussion on this.
Well,
I say we leave it as presented to the council.
That's with all of the verbiage included, right?
so I have one question. Let's say, worst case, somebody comes in and builds a 30-story condo, 200 feet high. Do we have the equipment in our fire department to service it?
No.
No, but I'm sure the Road Force Action wouldn't allow something that tall.
Well,
Well,
you-
Exactly.
I did leave a message, and I did get a call back, and that was gonna be my next thing. That's gonna be, with it being between us and Tyndall, they couldn't do that anyway because of how close to the flight line that area is.
So did you call the community planner at Tyndall?
I left him an email, sent an email with the one, and I did not get anything back.
Okay.
So I probably hear from her today, but I was
Okay.
back and forth to Tallahassee yesterday and not.
Okay, because the answer to that should give us, the questions that we should be asking her, is there any current restriction?
There are, I just don't know what they
And
are. But I
does-
think Mel's right,
Okay.
so. So I just need a motion, I guess, just to solidify this so we can move on with it, to accept it the way it is and just move on. I get if that's a kind of
I make a motion to leave the proposal as written.
a second?
Second.
And that is just the current city limits, right?
Correct. As an outstanding.
Is any outstanding? Tammy, can you call the roll for us on this, please, ma'am?
Okay. Ms. Logan?
No?
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Elzey?
Yes.
Mr. Schmigelski?
Yes.
Ms. Jenkins?
Yes.
Ms. Ward?
Yes. All right, next item up for discussion is the verbiage in the city administrator.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because, you know, that meeting was like 4 hours long. I didn't go back and watch it. But from what I remember, the city council is we were basically given direction that that was going to stay. We were just Xing off the second paragraph. That's what I remember the council's direction to us. And I went ahead, me and Tammy went ahead and had it advertised just in case, you know, but, so, with just the first paragraph and the second paragraph out.
What in the second paragraph though, what Quinn wanted to make sure was in there?
It did. But that's the direction that the council gave me as far as I remember. And I could be wrong, but that's what I remember.
That's what
Yeah.
they said.
Yeah, was to bring it down.
They wanted it.
They want it just like the city clerk one. Just we're putting in the position of city clerk, putting in the position of city administrator, and we're leaving what their duties and everything are up to the
Part of the job description and the
the
council.
council. So that one, and I did it, and in abundance of caution, I just went ahead and had it advertised that way. Now, we can go back and make a recommendation, because we're gonna have to go back for this height restriction anyway at a special meeting. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, but I kind of behind Gwen on that, I feel like that needs to be in there, even though it's more part of the job description. Okay, Mel, I have a question for you. So how does this work then? Because this is kind of something you're before. So you have this, you have the charter. When it comes to the job description, how often does the council come back and rework the job description and what's in it? And,
It's very rare,
okay.
unless there's a particular problem. When you have problems, things get crazy, and they want to change stuff.
Which, this is just a general statement, but I applaud all of us, and I feel like there's differing opinions, and I've learned from all of you throughout this, and this really didn't seem to become political until Tuesday.
I agree.
And
Totally.
it's very disappointing that that is where we're at, because this is a document that's supposed to protect future. This isn't current. And
Which is
feel
what
like
I
it's-
stated at the meeting.
You did, and I just feel like there's been some outside influences, and we're here because of that. And like he said, if there's problems, then job descriptions become sticky. And it's also preventive if you do leave that sentence, or that paragraph in there. I don't know, I would say leave it as is. They can direct us, but again, these are just proposals.
Yeah, but they make
That's-
the final
everyone's gonna vote on
decision.
it.
And they could have
They
taken it on themselves.
Right.
If they had chosen to.
They did.
Instead of
We're
playing
going backwards
They
Instead
did.
of
having
playing
this
back
meeting.
to us. Right.
As far as I know, they did. That's what happened at the meeting.
They approved to remove that, that's what,
They
yeah.
removed that second paragraph.
I make a motion to leave it as is.
I'll second.
Have a motion, Tammy, call the roll, please.
Okay. Ms. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Elzey?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schmigelski?
Yes,
Ms. Ward?
Yes.
At least as an alternate, so she doesn't.
I don't vote.
Right, okay.
Get the first one.
Yeah, that's okay.
No comments from the peanut gallery.
Apparently so.
All right,
He
next.
was gonna add and or in that statement,
In which one?
the city administrator.
Oh, that's
I
great.
had in my notes
I
that
do too.
we're
Yeah.
gonna add and/or.
Yeah, and I don't think I did. So we're gonna have, you guys just voted to put it back to the way it was, so it's gonna have to go back in front of the. We'll put that, at the special meeting, we're gonna put that one back on there because I screwed up and didn't put and or. I do believe.
I didn't want and or, but.
That's what I was told to do.
I know,
And
that's what the
think I-
council directed.
And
me
I
to
think
do.
I forgot to do that. I can't remember for sure. We'd have to look up what we advertised, but we might need to do
Yeah, that is something we don't.
I got it right there too,
Yeah.
and I forgot to do it.
Yeah.
Next one discuss is combining 828 and 829, which is form of government, and removing that sentence,
This is-
correct? To
yeah.
make it one
This
referendum.
this is something I thought about and it was brought up, I think it was Mr. Hamilton, and it's a very good point. If one of these, if say for instance, they vote in the change of government, but then vote not to take that sentence out, we're gonna have done more damage to this town than we started out, because it's gonna be contradictory, and all the confusion that has led us to the place we're at now is gonna still be there. So in my opinion, there's two choices. We either combine them, so that if you're voting yes on one, you're voting yes on the other one, and if you're voting no on one, you're voting no on the other one. Or we skip changing the first thing, the change of the form of government. You would just simply make it, ensure that it's a weak council form of government, and take out that sentence, that third sentence in the mayor's description. But we can't just send it out where we have a chance of it being voted on and contradicting each other. Those things basically go together. And that's my fault, I should have picked up on that earlier, but here we are, we have a chance to fix it.
If we leave the mayor council form of government, instead of trying to change the form of government, can we stipulate weak mayor, or are we allowed to do that?
It's typically not what's done, I don't believe, but Mel, what's
That's
your
not
feedback?
normally a part of a legal form of government.
See, the thing is, the description, like I said before, is kind of a matter of semantics. It's what are the powers that are set forth in the rest of the charter? Just don't want to confuse people.
Well, I also said this at the meeting, I really would prefer personally, I don't want our mayor to just be a ceremonial mayor. I don't want her just, whoever it is, to just show up at ribbon cuttings and attend public events and things of that nature. I would like for them to have some, I don't want to say authority, but authority, because they are elected by us, to guide and make sure that what they as a council decide to do is done.
They still can.
Could I clarify what Mr. Cahill was saying?
That was, yes,
The first option was to combine ordinance 828 and 829. That leaves our recommendation of the change in the form of government.
Correct. It would just be combining the two so that
You can't have one
you
and not.
can't have one without the other. If we change the form of government, but they leave that sentence in, then we just screwed up big time. We've confused everybody even more, and we've done more damage than we set out.
But choice number two was we go back on our previous recommendation and go with the council mayor form of government again? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just leave that the way that it is.
I move that we combine ordinance 828 and 829.
I second that.
So, does that,
we've got a motion on the,
oh, sorry,
got a motion on the floor, and got a second, so Tammy needs to call the roll, right?
Okay, Ms. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Elsey?
Yes.
Ms. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Schmigelsky?
Yes.
Review, just so that I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Just height restriction, we're just gonna leave it the way that it is. Not changing anything.
The way we present it.
And that will have to go in front of the board because we didn't advertise. We're gonna have to do that one at the special meeting that we're gonna call. So that's the same. Leave as is. Discussion of the city administrator verbiage. We're gonna leave that the way that we originally wrote it. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
We're not taking out the second paragraph, we're not adding and/or. I think we're gonna go in there and they're gonna tell me to do that, and that's exactly what's.
And that's their.
And that's
Right.
prerogative.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
So city administrator, leave as originally submitted to the council. And we're gonna put that one on the special meeting because they already told me, so they're gonna have to tell me again, and I forgot to put the and/or per their instructions, so we need to do it again anyway. All right, discussion of combining 828 and 829, that's what you guys told me to do. Combine
We've agreed
828
to
and
combine.
29, so we can't have any controversy where one's accepted and one's not, which would screw everything up. Got it.
And just for my own benefit, if I vote yes to this, then that means government changes to council,
Administrator.
administrator, and the sentence is removed.
Correct.
If I vote no, then it stays as is.
All the way around, stays as is.
Just clarification, okay?
That's how I, yes.
Okay. We'll wrap my small little noodle around that, that's all. Give me a second. Alright. And then, do we want to have anything where we try and get the public to understand, like I just made that statement? Do we want to put anything out there on, this is what, if you vote no, this is what this means. If you vote yes, this is what this means. Do we want to have just a meeting? Because I'm like you guys, they've had ample opportunity to be here. They've had ample access to us via email, on phone. I mean, people have knocked on my door. I've gotten 2 emails.
Same.
You know, we've had our public person,
Yeah, we got one guy.
you know, who
Been
has
here to every
been
one.
here for every meeting with the exception of one, which is a I mean, it's just been,
We got one
I was
guy.
super frustrated too, but, I mean, it is what it is. So,
I thought there might actually be some people here today.
so we just want to keep going with what we're doing and reaching out the way we've been reaching out? Let people know this is what yes means, this is what no means?
I would wait until after the council says whatever they're gonna put out there. I don't think we need any more education before the ordinance is.
No, I already agree with that too. Because when we got somebody made the point the other day, we've got until from February to April to help educate people on what the referendums do mean, so.
Can I say something? I'm sorry, I do live here. I'm sorry, I've been watching it in there. Oh, am I allowed to?
Sure.
Go ahead, John's gonna get his opportunity in a minute.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Because, I sit in there and I watch it. I watch it every time y'all have a meeting. I've gotten plenty of information. I like the idea about getting it out there, like, if you vote this way, this is what that means. There are a lot of people who do watch and they just agree with you guys. So that's why they're not reaching out. I don't know what happened Tuesday, that was weird. But I like the idea of you guys still saying, if you vote this way, it means this. If you vote this way, because I'm not very political, I don't know a lot about it. But if I had something like that said that, I would know exactly what I want to do when I go to the vote. Okay, I'm sorry.
No. Possibly, maybe we could utilize the utility bill back of the
Maybe
newsletter
we
to send
could
something.
draft a
Could
document.
we do
We're
something
not-
like that?
Constrained with the number of words and trying to explain it more, that we put on a website or get out to people.
Right, and the referendum itself has limited words, but we could have
could write out
a newsletter
something.
that we put out or send out with
That is a
something.
good idea.
The phone bill, put it on the website, Facebook, whatever.
Utility, whatever we come up with.
I had planned after the
You have a platform
passage
too.
of the ordinances, anticipating that it made the deadline and went on, I had planned to do a series of articles on it.
That would help.
I would need y'all's input to make sure that I had it phrased correctly, but I can do that, and I had planned to.
Do have her platform.
I know think we've all got our own private groups too that we share within, so. Okay. Well, then I think we're pretty, we're all on the same page, so we're good. Final, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jennifer, I do want to commend you for the job you did at the council meeting. I thought it was good that you took the lead and wanted to communicate with the five of them directly. And I think the other thing that we all kind of banged our heads together to get to where we are is, I think everyone agrees that having a mayor is a good thing. But I think the message we're trying to communicate to the council as a community is, just because you're not the mayor doesn't make you equally responsible as the mayor for decisions that go on in the city. And that, I think that's where we spent so much time talking about the form of government, right?
Yeah.
It's, just because the person is the chairperson of a committee or government entity, they don't deserve all the blame, nor do they deserve all the credit when things go well. So
It's
kudos
fine.
to all of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's finding that balance. I think that's what we all have wanted out of this, was to find a way to have a little bit better direction for them too.
And everything that happened on Tuesday, I anticipated our workshops being. Tuesday's meeting
Yes.
became the workshop.
Yes.
And
But unfortunately.
and that's not what the business at hand was.
Exactly. Unfortunately, as you say, that was the wrong time to have that discussion.
Yeah.
So then we'll have to have another
I guess,
special meeting
anyway.
after we advertise.
So, we're all good? Do we have a motion to adjourn then?
Mr. Harold was
Oh, Mr. Harrell, I'm so sorry. Totally been, I apologize.
Well, the
Anything-
votes have been taken, so my input will not matter.
Actually, please go back and
All right,
voice it
height
so that
restrictions.
so that it is on the record.
Height restrictions.
Okay,
I
yes.
brought this up at the council meeting. We're gonna have, first of all, if you allow them to go under Bay County and then ask us to annex them, what would stop them from doing that anyway? Bay County has much more linear height restrictions than we do. But then they expect us to supply everything. So now we're gonna have two different cities. What Lisa characterized as Old Town, the current 4 square miles. And then behind it, depending on how high Tyndall will let them go. And it depends not so much the flight line as the flight path. As a kid, they grew up around Langley Air Force Base, where wheels dropped off and crashed into houses in the 60s. Noise ordinance, which has not been mentioned, is not mentioned here. It's a big deal the closer you get. And as Tyndall moves closer to us, people are not thinking about that. They're building, they're coming toward us. We don't know what they're gonna have there. All that has to be considered. I don't like the idea of two different cities, and that's what we're gonna have. How high they go, I don't know. But if we wanna keep this a fishing village, which we have all discussed, it should be the same. For when I moved here in I bought in 2017, moved here in 2021 permanently, and then someone new gets to go, well, we got it at Sugar Sands. They can go up. It's two different cities. That's just my thought process on that.
As soon as I hear back from Tyndall, I will be sure
Well,
I will be sure to include you in her answer, just so that, for your own benefit, and if it is something, because I think she's gonna come back and state, I don't know, but I have an itchy feeling that she's gonna come back and let us know what the height restrictions are, and they're not gonna be 200 feet or anything, so. But as soon as I hear from her, I will make sure to include you though in her answer.
we don't know. The combining, so I guess it'll just be ordinance 828. There will be no ordinance 829? Correct. I would like to know how it's going to work. Mr. Welly and I had a little back and forth during the council meeting about having 5 bosses, how it works. How do you control the administrator? I think Ms. Jenkins said she didn't want, and I agree with her, We don't want an administrator in there that has all this power that we did not, the citizens elect.
But you elected the council who's gonna set.
I don't see him controlling them now. I mean, is that not true? And what I bring up is the sign situation. He gave people till October 25th. It is now January, and it took Rich Wolf to say, remove the signs.
Well, there you go.
But no one held the administrator accountable.
That would be your area of expertise.
Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, it is in the LDC, I've trained myself not to say it hard, that they were not supposed to be on empty lots, all right? Went on, Chris gave the people till the 25th of October without approval of the council, even though it's already a violation of the sign ordinance. And now it's January, and then Richard Wolf said, take the signs down. Well, he was already given a directive months ago. So no one is controlling. You understand?
In his defense, he said that he thought that it was all one parcel. And it turns out it's not, it's two parcels.
Well, even it's one parcel, it needs to be taken up. It's against the code. And it shouldn't have been,
No, it wouldn't have been if it would have been one parcel.
oh, no, I see. No, I see what you're saying, yes. Correct.
But it is
But
two.
there were other places too, in the right of way. And my gosh, code enforcement, the former city administrator, even Public Works, during the election, took signs up.
So Mel, you've been in that position.
I have.
I just wonder how you're gonna control it. I don't care if you, just so you know, I don't care if you take the verbiage out.
I don't think this charter is gonna be able to control that. That's gonna be,
But it's-
whoever's here,
but it's supposed
either
to.
they're responsive to it. If they're not, vote them out the next time. I'm not.
Well, you can't take the politics out of politics. And unfortunately, what's gone on here for the last several months is you've got all this infighting, and they've forgotten, the five of them collectively, have forgotten that they need to put their personal pettiness aside and do the job they were elected to do. And in the case of the city administrator, I think it's clear to anyone that has this much education that both sides are playing against that position. I personally wouldn't want to be in the position Mr. Hubbard's in, or anyone.
Yeah, but he chose to come here.
Well, exactly.
So it's not like we put a gun to his head and you gotta leave Kentucky and come back to
He's in
Florida.
it.
But I just wanna know how, you had that experience, Mel, so please, that's my concern is, I don't want one individual, whether it's the mayor or the city administrator, like I said, the public works director, to have power. I want checks and balances is what I want as a citizen.
Okay, all that being said, under the current situation and even in the new charter, should it pass, the city council hires and fires the city administrator. It is up to them to make sure the city administrator does their job. That is part of what their duties are.
Right.
So if Mr. Wolf came to that meeting and said, you're not enforcing the ordinances, at that point, the city council should have reprimanded the city administrator for not doing their job. So just saying, do it is not far enough. You have to take the initiative to say, you know, we hired you to enforce the ordinances. You're not doing it, so you're not doing your job. So if you put a letter in the file or make some public reprimand, you get 2, 3 of those things, then you got more reason to fire the city administrator.
Okay, good point. Now, as he has, or she, whoever will fill that position, 5 bosses, collectively, do they have to do the letter of reprimand, or can anyone
Be
of the 5
collective.
bosses?
Anyone should not do it.
It's
So it should be
collective.
the city council. It is
Okay.
clear, the city council hires and fires the city.
He serves at the pleasure of the council.
And I think that needs to be made clear to the citizens for when they vote. That's just my personal opinion where I see it. Because like I said, I want checks and balances.
Well, and just to, I think we all want checks and balances. And going back to the whole topic of responsibility, the 5 people that are on the council have a responsibility to work together to ensure that the ordinances are enforced, and regardless if, you know, John likes me or I like John, we support what's right for the city, okay?
Correct.
So when it comes to whether Mr. Wolf or Ms. Hamilton think that Quinn needs a reprimand,
She does.
I do.
I'm always on that list with you.
but you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
You know, personalities aside, and whether we agree on the sky being blue or not, should not enter into that question. You know, if the administrator didn't do their job, collectively, the 5, it should be a unanimous vote. It's not ambiguous. It's, you either did your job or you didn't. And if you didn't, you deserve a reprimand.
And if someone on the city council voted no, even though it was obvious, that's what the citizens gotta hold that person accountable.
That's
At
right.
the next vote.
And then, also, you could take into consideration that the current charter says that the mayor is the chief elected administrative official. That's been that part of that sentence that we all have consternation about. You know, you could reasonably assume that the mayor, under this verbiage, has the authority, being the administrative officer, to admonish the city administrator. However, when I hear all these things going on about this, that, and the other, I haven't heard many people say what's in the next sentence, where it says, "The powers and duties of the mayor shall be such as conferred upon him by state laws, this charter, and by the city council." So if the city council taketh away the chief administrative officer title, the city council has the right to do that. In my humble opinion. I'm not an attorney, don't play one on TV.
Well, I think that's what that.
That's the
case
subject.
was. The judge
subject.
saw that, because we have a
Right.
ruling from 2015 that says the opposite. So we'll,
I don't think there's
That-
not a ruling. I don't-
well, it was an opinion from a law firm, I'm sorry, it wasn't a ruling, you're correct.
Was it a-
Like I said, I'm not an attorney, but I've watched plenty of Perry Mason.
We all have. Okay.
But that's what and I think there's other citizens, because I talk to people, I have diarrhea in the mouth, I know that. And we get in conversations and it's fun, but I think everybody on the council wants what's best for the city, they just have different opinions on how they get there.
Which is what we're trying to.
And I think y'all do too. I mean, you know, and I attended a lot of these meetings. I didn't see it as an attack on y'all that y'all hadn't been doing your job.
You mean at Tuesday's meeting? No, I didn't see it, no.
No.
Just
But,
wish
well,
that-
some
I just,
people
I'm
may
like Quinn, I
talk-
wish that they had been at the workshop so that we could have,
The one workshop when I was out of town, Mel,
yeah, that we could have hashed this out with them at that point in time. And I
I'd
told
have
you
been
that.
here.
But I just wanted to give you an opportunity because
And
I
I
did
thank
not.
you.
I skipped over the public discussion during the meeting, and my apologies for
No,
that.
I
So,
just would like to have said something before you
yes,
took it.
and that was my
that's fine.
mistake, and I
No,
apologize for that.
You were gonna vote the way y'all gonna vote anyway. I was just gonna let you know what the concerned citizen,
No. That way it's a record, it's a record.
concerned public enemy number 1 thought
Yeah,
is all.
I got you. Okay. So can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting unless there's anything else? From somebody.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Write me up, Steve.
We'll be in contact how we're gonna do all this.